Hey everyone, welcome to this video tutorial of an introduction to word processing. And the word processing application that we're using today is the Microsoft Word. Now, quick overview: the Microsoft Word or word processing application is used for the purpose of creating, editing, adding, or making changes to any text-based document. So text-based document can be assignment, which is done in sentences and paragraphs. You have memorandums, you have letters, and so forth. For this tutorial, our focus will be on the Home tab, and the font area is where we are focusing on for the purpose of this tutorial. So just a quick overview that this section is considered to be the ribbon, and the ribbon is where we can find our different formatting features and the tabs that we use to make changes or format our text. Now the text that I will be using to start off this will say welcome to word processing, and then from here we will just go ahead and make the adjustments to show you how the font area can make this text look better than it looks now, right? So the first thing that, or first area that we're starting with, is the row at the top, and then we look at the options here in the second row. Now the area that says Calibri body, this is known as our font or font style or font face rather, which gives us different types of font that we can allow our text to show in. So for example, when I click this drop down arrow here, I have a large number of fonts that I can use to change this option. So I have a nice one called Descendants. So once I click on that, you can see that it makes some fancy adjustment to our text here. However, for the purpose of this tutorial, we will be using Times New Roman. Now, some of the times we cannot find it here. We would have to scroll all the way through the list. A quick way to make the findings would be to click in the area here, remove the font that is there, and then enter the one that we want to use. So Times New Roman, and it automatically comes up. So we select and press enter, and then it make the changes here. Beside our font is the font size, which allows us to either increase the size of our font or decrease. Increase means to make it bigger, decrease means to make it smaller. So currently the size is 11, and let's try 8. As you can see, 8 is very small. However, we want this text to appear very big. So again, we click our arrow and we're selecting 36 as our font size. Another way that we can make changes to our font size is the use of these two A's, which are beside the font size on our right, and we have a large capital A and a small one. So the large one makes the text grow larger, so I'm going to click it 2 times, so that's 1, 2, and you realize that the text got very big. If I click on the small 1, 2, that's the original, and if I click 2 more times, 1, 2, then the font decreases. So I'm just going to bring it back up to the original where we had, right? So the next option here is to change our case. Change case meaning that how is it that we want our text to appear? Do we want it in all capital letters, all common letters? Do we want to mix it, and so forth, right? So in this list, we click the arrow here, and the list has a number of them. The first is the sentence case, which is the current one that our text is in. The second option is the lowercase, which changes all of the letters to common letters, and as you can see, they were changed. So automatically you would know that uppercase would change everything to all capital letters. So once that is selected, you realize that everything is in capital. The next option would have been to capitalize each word, meaning that only the first letter of each word would become a capital letter, and as you can see, it is showing here. And then the toggle case would just make the font upper or lowercase appear as a mixture. So as you can see, the first letters become smaller or lowercase, and then everything remain in caps. However, I'm going to go ahead and return to sentence case based on the continuation of our example. Now, I will not be using the formatting feature just yet because I want to show you how it works. Now, the next thing that we want to select is the B, and this stands for bold, and what bold does is to make our text appear darker than originally. So if I click off here, you would see how the text looks now, and then once I drag my mouse back over this and I select the B, you realize that it becomes darker than original. So that is the purpose of the bold. I, which stands for italic or italic, depends on your pronunciation. Once I click on that, it actually makes the text appear slant, and as you can see, it look a little bit curly in some essence. And then U, of course, you would have thought, yes, it is for underline, so it places a line below the text that is there. And then once that has been clicked or selected, our line is now below our text. Okay, so I place my cursor at the end of this, and then I press enter on my keyboard. So the word that I want to use here is price, right? So for price, I am going to take off the bold, the U, and the I. So I'm taking off all of those that we use for the first one. So it's original font size and style, yes. So price, I want to make this application here. So you see a line running through the text. You realize that it does not fall below the text, but it falls in the middle of the text. And this is known as a strike through. And what it does is places a line in the middle of the word, right? And normally we see these when there are stores having sales, so they cross off the old price and showing you the new price, right? Another example, moving on to the third line. So again, our cursor is at the end of the word, then we press enter. We want to take off this strike through here. So our next two words are upper, add a space, and then lower, right? Upper and lower. So we're beginning with the word lower, so we highlight that with our mouse, and then the first option that you see, a X with a 2 at the bottom, this stands for subscript, and what it does is to transform the highlighted word so that it appears at the bottom of whichever word it is beside. So once I click on that, you realize that it became smaller and it looks to appear at the bottom of the word upper, right? So similar to that, we're going to highlight the word upper. However, for this example, we are using the X with the 2 at the top, and this one is known as superscript. What superscript does is to place the word that is highlighted at the top of the text that it was beside. So once I click on that, then you realize that it now appears at the top of the word lower. So one is at the top, one is at the bottom. And just to recap those two, the X with the 2 at the bottom is known as a subscript, and this text appears at the bottom of the word, while the X with the 2 at the top is known as a superscript, and the text appears at the top of whatever word it is beside. Now the next thing, we're going to highlight the first set of information again. The next thing we have here is the text effect. So what it does is to apply a fancy looking appearance to the text, and as you can see, once I move over these, it makes some changes to the word. However, I'm using this yellow one here, or gold looking, and what it does, it makes it look a little bit jelly in some instance, right? So that kind of makes some text effects changes to selected words. Now beside that, we have our highlight, and what this does is to add a highlight to the word. So similar to how we would have our notebooks and we highlight keywords, this is just another example that we use on our computer. So for this one, I'm using the color black or green. Black, yes. So black, and then the black highlights the word to make it pops more than the others that are there, right? The next word that I'm selecting is price. So again, I drag my mouse, and beside the highlight, text highlight, we have the font color. What the font color do is to change the color of whatever text it is that we want to change. So for price, we want to change the color to green, right? And we can do it for a full word, or if we want to do it for single letters, then we can also do that. So for U, I can add green. For P, I can click the arrow, change the, so let's say yellow. For the second P, we can give it another color, red. For the E, we can also apply a different color, purple, right? And for the R, we just leave that as it. So we can change the color of all of the words, or we can change it for whichever word it is that we want to change, or letter that we want to change the color for. And then the final thing that we wanted to do the example for, so I highlight the word upper. Pay close attention, you realize how the word upper currently appears in superscript. Now this option gives us to clear all formatting, meaning whatever adjustments that we did to the text, this can reverse that. So for upper, we use superscript, and if I click on this, it reverted back to the original font and size that the computer automatically works with. So those were just some easy formatting features that makes up the font area, and we will be looking at other formatting features for our next video tutorials, but for this one, I do hope that you learned something new, and please stick around for the other videos to come.